Okay guys, so in this video we're going to be talking about time remapping or speed ramping. This is a tool you can use in Premiere that can really add a lot of punch to your edits and excitement. It's very often used in commercials or maybe travel edits, and I definitely want you to take advantage of it in your action sequences because it can add a lot more impact to certain punches and things. So in order to achieve a time remap, what you're going to want to do is expand out the track just like you would want to with the pen tool. So go ahead and take your cursor and click on the timeline, and right here on the edge, just drag that up or scroll in that empty space to reveal this little white line. Now we've already talked about that white line in terms of opacity. What you can do though is change that to not mean opacity, but to mean other things. Right? So right now it'll be set to opacity. I want to bring my mouse over here on the little button here that says FX, right in the corner of the clip, and I'm going to go ahead and right click on that, and that'll bring up a new menu. Right, and here I can set what that white line is doing. So right now if I go to opacity, you can see I have a dot next to opacity. That tells me that that line is currently representing opacity. I'm going to come down here and change that to time remapping speed. I'm going to click on speed and you'll see it changed. It moved the white line from in the middle or on the top of my clip, and now it's in the middle of the clip. All right. Watching this clip through, it's in slow motion, this footage of this woman walking past a bush. Right? It's not too exciting, you know, kind of in slow-mo. Okay? Let's go ahead and add a little bit more impact to that. So to create the points that we're going to time remap on, it's the same tool as opacity. It's our pen tool, right? So this little tool right here, or P on the keyboard. So I'm going to hit P, and now I'm going to create points in this line where I want to change the speed of my clip. So we're going to start off in slow-mo, and then she gets kind of obscured by this bush. So when she's behind the bush, I want that to speed up. Let's get past the bush as quickly as possible because it's obscuring her and I can't see her anymore. So right when she goes behind the bush, I'm going to create a point with my pen tool there, and then when she comes out from behind the bush to here, I'm going to create a second point on my timeline with the pen tool. And then switching back over to the selection tool. Now in between these 2 points, I can bring the selection tool onto the line, and when I drag that line up, see how as I drag it up, it moves the points closer together? It's because the higher I drag it up, the faster the clip is becoming. And you can actually see at the bottom, right, as I scroll up, that there's a percentage. So it's increasing by 130%, 200%, etc., etc., etc. So I'm going to go ahead and increase that to something crazy high, like 300%. And then the other thing that you'll notice is that your clip is going to automatically shorten in length. That's because you're speeding up a portion of the clip. And when you do that, you know, it makes the whole thing shorter. Okay, so now that part of my clip should be sped up. So I'm going to go ahead and play that through and see how it looks. All right, it's cool, but it's not quite that fast because we are shooting in slow motion. I don't know what our frame rate is because it just says it's in 24p. We're going to want to speed that up a lot more. So I'm just going to click on that, and I'm going to drag it up like crazy. So let's go 900%. All right, let's see how that changes our clip. Okay, that's better. Let's go even more. Let's go with 1,000%. Drag it all the way up. Okay, so now she comes in slow-mo, and then it speeds past the bush, and now we're in quick motion again. And then it gets kind of shaky in here. So let's create another speed ramp right here. Switch to my pen tool, create a point, And let's speed past the part where she's hardly in frame to right there. All right, same thing. I'm going to take that point back on my selection tool, drag it all the way up to 1000%. My clip shortens down, and now speeds up and slows back down, speeds up and slows back down. I can also, on this bit in the middle, if I want to slow it down too, let's bring that down to 50%. And you'll see it'll actually extend the clip back out. So now it's fast and then super slow. And then let me create a new point again. And let's bring that up to 100 again. So now we have slow-mo, fast motion, super slow-mo, regular slow-mo, fast motion again, and back to regular slow-mo. Okay, so you can change a lot of the speed in here. Unfortunately, you can't drag this any higher than 1000, but I don't think you'll need to. Speeding up for punches and stuff is going to make your action sequences a lot more impactful. Something else you can do with the time remapping tool is change the speed that you come in and out of a ramp. So if I zoom in on my clip here, so on this point I made, if I click on that point, it'll highlight blue, and then if I click on the one on the inside of the ramp and drag that out, it'll actually make that a more gradual speed ramp. So now instead of just going from regular motion to all of a sudden fast motion, it'll gradually change that. And the same thing on the other side. I'm going to click there and just drag that out, smooth it out, make it probably about the same speed. And now when I play this, it's no longer as jarring. It's much smoother transition from slow to fast. And I can do the same thing on any of these points. So if on this one I want it to be a more gradual change, I can just drag that out, and now, whoops. And now instead of speeding up again all at once, you can hardly tell, but it does happen, right? You see drop frame slow-mo, and then back to regular slow-mo. So take advantage of that. One other thing you can change, if I zoom back in on my first speed ramp here and click back on those little handles, is a little dot thing will pop up here, and that will actually change the curve of the ramp. So right now it's pretty linear. It just starts to speed up and then it stops. If I want that to be a little more curved, I can just take this and drag it to one side, and you can see how it becomes a little bit more of a parabolic curve instead of just being straight linear. All right, and now, it's a little more abrupt than it was, but it still has that smoother fall on and fall off. All right. And that's speed ramping in a nutshell. Once you're finished speed ramping, you can change this back to opacity if you want to, and you won't be able to see it anymore. If you ever want to go back and look, just change that back to speed and you'll see it. And I can collapse my clip back down. And now I'll be able to see that the speed has been affected, but I can't see the actual ramp anymore visually.